And you as the woman, please do not go to your people and start telling them that please reduce this or cut this or that. Mr. Ogbaki had a different view, and I would like to hear from you now, Mr. Ogbaki, because I have a question for you. And of course, please do feel free to start to send in your questions to us this evening. The number 09072703270. You can start to send in your own thoughts and observations there too. Mr. Ogbaki.
Good evening to our listeners, and happy Sunday. So last week I said that in the event that the young man is unable to meet all these demands, a compromise can be reached. Now, my argument was coming from the background of 21st century traditions, where we see in the days of Reverend Adejo and today things are not the same. I'm talking about particularly the list. This list is what I'm even talking about. In the 70s and 80s, and then today in the 21st century, there are two different lists completely. We know of some traditions and some cultures in some parts of this country that have become very outrageous when it comes to this issue of marriage. Times again, when we have an issue between the spouses, the parents, the bride's parents, the father or the mother used it against the whole marriage, against the whole thing. So the father is making demands, the mother is making demands, and then they keep saying that this is their culture, this is what they do, and all of that. Anybody can insist that this is my culture, this is what we do, this is what my clan, my tribe, my family, this is what we have been doing. Anybody can insist. The Reverend said that he could actually marry for his son, which is allowed with confines of tradition. What if this young man who wants to get married doesn't even have these people around who could help him? His parents are not there. This is a young prospective man who is working, earning a decent salary, and he's not able to meet up all of these outrageous lists that today we are saying is within the confines, it's accepted. This is what there are traditions we know. And then some traditions, some other cultures have now said that okay, this part of Nigeria are making this thing so serious. Over the years we have calmed down, we are just okay, pay anything, and then you could take the woman. So now we have to be more serious with it. So we are seeing across the country, we are seeing this kind of list coming up, and we will always hear during the traditional marriage, you are not buying our daughter. Yet the kind of money you are paying is like you are buying this human being, right? So for me, I truly think that this compromise can be made within the family of the bride, to say that, look, here is a young man who doesn't earn $1 million every month, or whose business doesn't turn over $1 million every month. He's a prospective young man. He's doing well, and there are prospects for growth. Let us soft pedal for him. You know, we've had...
Mr. Ogbaki, I said a list that has not been doctored, because I do realize that, yes, some families view, when a man comes for a woman in a family, some families view that as a time to make money and get enough food stuff that will last them a year.
Right.
But I said, for a list that has not been doctored, this is the way our people do it here.
Right. If it is that, something that is very fair to everyone, fair in the sense that, I mean, anyone who hears of it will say, look, just go ahead and do what you can do within this. Just try your best and do it. And that is very okay, truly speaking. Because you know what you're talking about, and you understand what I'm also talking about. I actually understand what you're talking about. For a list that has not been doctored, we know what's happening today in Nigeria, in this country. We know what's happening with marriages, especially when it comes to traditional rights. Little wonder we are seeing a lot of these issues we've dealt with some of them, that they say the man no pay anything. He no pay anything. Why will he pay? When he came legit, he came to do the needful. You skyrocketed everything. You said, this is your culture, this is how we do it here. You must build house for me. For that. Guy said, I've not even put one block, one near culvert. I don't even have a
But
plot.
should a man who has not been able to do that look for a wife? Pastor Dodo.
Do what?
Mr. Aki said,
Build a house.
build a house, that he has not been able to build a house or rent a house. Because frankly, if we're talking about a list that has not been doctored, he might not have built a house, but at least such a man, I would like to think, has a house that he's rented.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Mr. Ogbaki is still talking about compromise on that list. Now, because of what we've heard, I understand what Mr. Ogbaki is trying to say, but also because of what we've heard, where men have gotten their wives because there was no value placed on it. There was something Reverend talked about. He said placing value on what you have come for. He said what he has seen over time is that chances are when you get something cheap, you will treat it cheaply. And I must say, in my experience as a human being, I've seen that. I don't know whether you've taken note of this, and I don't know whether you will agree that we can actually infer from this kind of example to the example of marriage. But when you give people, say you buy a shoe for someone, chances are the way that person will treat that shoe, the person treat it as carefully as cherished as a shoe that person used hard-earned money to buy. I'm just saying, it's been my experience. This is what I've seen, that when you give people things, sometimes they even give it out, because they don't know the value of it, okay? And sometimes they just use it anyhow because they really don't know how much you paid for it. So, placing value.
No matter how much good evening everybody, no matter how much you tell them to pay the right price or make a list for them, if a man wants to maltreat the girl, he would.
It's a human nature. Thank you very much.
He would.
It's a human nature.
He would.
What is human nature now, Mr.
A man who will maltreat her, who will deal with her, will do that. A man who will not, will never do it. You understand? It's not. We've seen men who have paid millions. They've given the girl. He will beat the girl. She will go back home. He will come to the father, give him money, and the father will send her back to his house.
No, but Mr. Ogbaki, we're talking about two separate things here. This is a clear case of where money is speaking, and BS is walking. If you would pardon my French. In a case where this is how it is done, this is the tradition, and you're still saying reduce for me.
If this is a tradition, he should know where he's going to. The girl will have told him, this is our tradition. And if he cannot afford, I want to ask, if he cannot afford it, then what happens? He shouldn't marry her.
So you are the resource persons here. The question I would like to ask then is, should you even get involved in the matter of marriage if you cannot at this point afford ordinary marriage ritual cost?
No, there are times that
we're talking about a marriage where you're hoping that you will have children. We know what diapers cost today. Wow, can I just stop to say today is today? She has always stayed in the background, giving her husband all the support and all, but today she's right here looking beautiful. I said it that I don't know if I'm going to see you guys. Maybe you're going to go for honeymoon, the 39 honeymoon this evening. Mrs. Pastor Mrs. Adijo, you are welcome. It's great to see you. People are, you can go see her. She's looking beautiful and radiant this evening right here on Invicta. Good evening and welcome. We're really, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Really, a great pleasure. All right, so let's...
What about me?
Reverend, it's good to see you too, but they say, you see what I'm saying? When you've seen someone often enough, the chances of overlooking that person is there, but because she's rare on this program, and that is why you're welcome, Reverend. You're all welcome, and we celebrate you today.
Welcome me,
We celebrate all of you today. You're all welcome. All right, so I'm sure you must have been listening while we were talking, and I would like for you to weigh in, but Pastor Patience was trying to make a point?
Yes, I was saying that this issue of a man not able to pay the dowry, and then he shouldn't. What should he do? Should he marry her? He knows. If I will come from the Christian point of view, I know she knows. I know that both of us know that this is the right person for me. We know, and we have prayed about it, and we have a confirmation that okay, this is the lady for you. Now, if he doesn't have enough money to pay for that dowry, does it then mean that he would not marry her?
If you're going to get a confirmation from God, would God give you someone who would not be able to follow? In the Bible, did we have anybody who asked for a compromise?
There are so many things that are not in the Bible that we do now, Jacqueline. When we are talking about how many marriages did we see in the Bible that apart from Isaac's marriage, and then we heard about Rebecca, that's Isaac and Rebecca, right? Then we also heard about Mary, isn't it? Who else did we really see that they went into, asking their hands in marriage and all that? I think it's Rebecca, if I'm not wrong. Is there any other marriage in the Bible that we saw that they paid dowry and all?
Oh yes.
Which other one is that?
In fact, Jacob has to labor for 40 years because of love he has for Rachel. In their tradition, only the senior one gets married first. And then when he went in, they gave her Leah. And Leah wasn't the one he wanted. In Genesis chapter...
dowry?
Yes, that is dowry. When we talk about 7 years famine or 7 years work for the woman, that is the dowry is paying. They do that in my place up to today. 7 years famine. You come and farm for me for 7 years and I give you my daughter.
Okay, that one is affordable.
Who is going to devote 7 years for you now? They have monetized it. They have monetized everything.
But in this case, I don't have the money. But I have the strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there are some people that have the strength and don't have the money.
Yeah, it's allowed.
Well, let's just say that Mr. Ogbaki and Pastor Dodo, the reason why I need for us to dwell on this matter is because over time and again we've seen where men finish marrying their wives and there's serious problem within the home
and they can't solve it
because the man is able to take care of his family.
Let me just...
So is not being able to afford even this first step not a point, not a warning sign?
You said something. Yes. You said a man can marry. Daddy said last week that a man can marry for his son, isn't it?
Yeah. When the son brings the person he wants, not me going to look for the girl and say, come, pay your dowry and hand over to her. No. The man will...
Even that Reverend, there was people who said to me, well, this week we'll talk about that. And the question for that is, you say it's okay for a family to marry for a man. Mm-hmm. There are times when that family just knows the kind of child that they have and they're looking to fob that child off on a woman. Let it become a woman's problem and not theirs within the house. Oh, let's get him married. Maybe when he gets married, he will become responsible. And so they marry for that man. Why would you encourage that a man's family should marry for him? Is it the man who is able to, it's not the man's money that they are using to marry that wife. So is that even safe for a girl who knows that it was this man's family, his father, who married for him?
In that type of family, there is a standing business that the family is doing. So everybody has got something to do.
What if there's not?
They don't attempt it. They don't attempt it. Everybody go fending for himself.
Well, I just need to say here that truly speaking, let's take it into the marriage. So from the traditional rights into the marriage. If a man, truly speaking, knows that he can't afford the basics, you understand?
You shouldn't go for wife.
You don't go to get married.
Yes.
This again and again in seminars that if a man should be earning something legitimately, no matter how small.
Thank you. Thank you.
First and foremost, he should be earning something legitimate. And then you want to marry a girl from this part of Nigeria, from that part of Nigeria, and you know the things they do. So you start saving. in the event that, okay, they ask for 1 million and you have 900,000 naira, at least we can say, okay, this is fair enough, or 950, you know. But in the event where we're asking for 1 million and you say you have only 20,000 naira, we know you are not ready, you know. It could be even, we could actually be even asking for like 30,000 naira and you say you have only 5,000 or 3,000 naira. We literally know that you are not ready. So the point is just this, that when you cannot handle this early stages, you, truly speaking, will not be able to handle the latter stage. Basically because you didn't find this whole right as responsible. You will not even find the marriage as responsible. You know, sometimes even in churches, they try to make it very easy, the white wedding. They make it easy for people. They say, okay, come. The church will do all things for you. Just pay the basic things. We'll do the reception for you, buy food and call your people, you eat and all of that. The point is that a man should, truly speaking, be earning something legitimate before he goes into marriage, so that he can take the burden of family responsibility, because the burden, truly speaking, is on the man and the woman as a helper, not on the woman and then the man as the helper. Because these days we're seeing all of this. So in this sense, if you are not working and earning something,
don't marry.
For me, it is a legitimate source of income. I want to make that emphasis. A legitimate source of income. Don't go for marriage. And ladies, you need to know what the man is doing. I mean, if he says I'm into business, what exactly
is the business?
A lot of young men say I'm a businessman. What are you importing and exporting? We need to know. And then the ladies are, most of our girls, well, maybe not most, number of girls are really gullible. The man says he wants to get married, and then she doesn't know what he does really, and then she jumps into it.
Because he lies about what he's doing.
Exactly.
And she's anxious to get married. So she doesn't find out whether that's the right thing that he's doing or not. So some ladies will even tell him, don't worry, I'm working, and I believe you'll get work when we get married. We'll get married, and then they will look for a job, and that is how they will get married, and she'll be the one that will be fending for him, and then she'll start complaining.
So we can agree that when the Bible talks about despising not the days of little beginning, the Bible is not referring to
marriage. Not at all. What it's referring to is this. When you turn your Bible to Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5, it tells you about being content with whatever you have. That is the explanation of that verse. Now, when the Bible is talking about new beginning, it's talking about being content at whichever stage you are in life, not about marriage. Marriage is a different thing entirely, although everything has beginning. But this particular point is talking about whichever stage you are in life. Be content with it, so that you don't just begin to murmur and complain. And if you are not satisfied with the beginning, when you increase, you wouldn't even be satisfied. And it is in the life of many today. They are never satisfied with whatever stage they are, and that's why there's problem on earth today. So contentment is very, very important in life. But then when we talk about marriage, it's a different thing entirely. If I don't have money, I cannot marry by faith. I can't feed my wife by faith. To be candid, if I have money to take care of me alone, I shouldn't go to get married yet. I told you the other day that this marriage I postponed because the guy said every month he will hustle and he will get 60,000. I said that 60,000 is not enough. And so I can't get my daughter to marry you from this church. Go and improve your life. 3 years later, he came back. And he was employed in Covenant University. And today, and then I said, okay, we can start the process. And he got married. Now they have children and they are doing well. So this is not a thing to stage manage at all. I'm speaking from the point of experience also. Oh, Kami, do you think somebody
about well, Mrs. Adejo, Pastor Adejo, do you have anything to say on this matter?
I don't have anything different to say
from
what he has said. Marriage is not meant for boys. If you cannot take care of yourself, I don't see the reason why you should go ahead to want to marry a girl. Because definitely when the girl comes in or the woman comes in, you have to take care of yourself and take care of the woman. And probably within 1 year,
You get
a child.
become 3.
You have to take care of that child. If you don't have means of livelihood, there's no way you can take care of yourself, take care of the woman, and take care of the child. And that is how the Bible says, whosoever cannot take care of
His own
house is worse than an infidel. So you must count the cost first before you go into marriage. If you'll be able to meet the responsibility, because you are called into responsibility when you go into marriage.
Please, I want to ask this verse in Zechariah that says, "Do not despise the days of humble beginnings," right?
Yes.
It could apply for marriage too.
Okay, so let me quickly go on a break and then we'll come back to talk about that. I need to go on a commercial break, but you heard the pastor. She still has something to say about this. I just hope that there are a lot of single people who are listening, because this is primarily for you. This month is for all the single people, especially those who are at that cusp of getting married. You know, you're just there and you're trying to make up your mind. All right, so let's go on this break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. They're still in the studio with it's a full house today. I urge you to go online and check so that you can see all the people in the studio, a wealth of experience here. Our guest today is Pastor Mrs. Adejo. She's here with us, and we are wishing them, in fact, many more years ahead. They celebrated their 39th anniversary, and of course, Reverend's birthday too, 69, right?
It's coming tomorrow.
It's coming tomorrow, so happy birthday, Darius.
Thank you.
All right, so before we went on that break, still with all of us here, Pastor Patience Dodo and Mr. Emmanuel Ogbaki too, I see the comments. Thank you very much to Pius Sylvester and Felicia Amaka Nwakeme. Thank you so much for your comments. Before we went on that break, you said, this issue about not despising the days of little beginning. Yes.
Yeah, it's relative, you know. What is the small beginnings? You have to define what small beginnings means. For me, if a man is hardworking and he's doing something like saw Adam doing, it was Adam was tending the garden before God brought Eve to him. So he was doing something. He was earning a living. If he's able to earn a living and you can see that he has prospects, he's hardworking, then of course we should not despise the days of humble beginnings, because we don't know where God is taking him to. So these small beginnings, it all depends on what small beginnings is. If this young man cannot fend for himself, he doesn't have a house that he will take you to live in, then I'll say definitely do not marry him. But if he that, and you can see that he's struggling, and you know that, oh, this man is ambitious, he's trying, then I don't see any reason why a woman will not marry such a man. I married such a man. He didn't have anything.
He didn't have a job.
He had a job, but he didn't have anything. We didn't have anything in our house when we got married, but God blessed us.
Yeah.
That's just it. If a man is hardworking and you see that, okay, this man is a giver, he can take care of me, and I can see that he's doing something for a living, then if you are convinced that he's the one, please go ahead. But don't say, okay, until he has this. Some ladies will say, until he has television, he has a car, he has this, then I'll marry him. Those things will come if two of you work together. And
I think you're all saying almost the same thing, but I think the term here should be, it's a relative term. This humble beginning.
Yeah, there is nothing that has no beginning. Nothing. Everything has beginning. But I'm talking about marriage. Is it not true that the day we got married is the beginning of our marriage? That was our beginning. But how solid is that beginning? I think that's what we should talk about. How solid? How solid? I know that in my years, in the 70s, like Mr. Ogbaki was referring to. Look, if you are employed today you are sure if you are hardworking, in next 2 years you are promoted. Another 2 years you are promoted. Not today. When if you are a degree holder, they will bring a diploma holder to come and block you, and then your own career is finished. You know, it happened today. So this is look, when you are prospective, why not? Why not? But then make sure that the person you are giving that woman to is serious. He knows what it means to to have a home. You see a lot of men running away from home today.
The reason why I keep coming and dwelling and trying, like someone not wanting to let something go, is because you know about the situation that we waded into that is still yet unresolved. This man, when they were about to get married, it was clear that he was struggling. And at the time when she started having doubts, I mean, he knelt down, was crying and begging that, look, my tomorrow will be better. But today, she seems, in fact, it's not seems, she's carrying the burden
Yes.
of that home.
And it's not
like
supposed
he
to be
didn't
so.
see it. He was, a businessman. Let's just say he is a businessman. And this is what her reality is today. And, we've had this situation not once, not twice. The stories keep coming in different forms, but it's the same thing over and again. People who married people who they thought, okay, things would be better, but they never did. And now that those homes are not happy homes.
What of people that married those that had, and then suddenly after they got married, there was nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, all these warning signals are there.
Yes.
All the warning signals, like in
So
this
maybe we
case,
should talk about the warning signals.
the warning signals
Even
are
when
always,
a man...
always there.
Okay, so good that you brought this up, Mr. Ogbaki. Can we talk about some of the warning signals? When a
Okay.
man has a humble beginning, doesn't really have much, probably still looking for a job, and you're in a relationship, or what? What exactly are those warning signals that we're talking about, Mr. Ogbaki?
Okay, so graphically, if you earn 20,000 naira or 30,000 naira, and then there is no savings at all, you don't save 2,000 naira or 1,000 naira, you're not a serious person. These signals are always there. There are people who earn more than 100,000 naira. They don't have any kind of savings anywhere, and the girl says he is working with federal government. He is working with a big private firm, yet no savings whatsoever.
But we
So
know that
this
many
is-
people don't divulge, like I'm talking about
Yeah.
now, you're in a relationship
Right.
with this person. How would you know whether this person
That he
has
has no
savings or
savings.
not? Because these
You will
are
not tell.
things that you discuss because you don't want to look like a gold digger. And by the way, in Africa, we all know that there are very few homes where the husband and wife know exactly how much each person is worth. So how would you know?
We're actually looking at small beginnings. This young man who is kneeling down to cry. If he's kneeling down to cry, then he can kneel down also to say, this is how much I earn. I'm saving this. If you can kneel down to cry. This is the point I'm making. You understand? Let's, no matter how I want to look at it, truly speaking, ask all of these women and these men who have got all of these very serious issues in their marriages. They will tell you, I saw it coming. Almost 99% of them will say, these signals were there. He was showing me this kind of attitude. I was seeing it, but I thought he was going to change. I thought when we get married, he was going to settle down. I thought she was going to change as soon as we get married. I was speaking I think last week, I said, men don't change, they get worse. Only with the help of the Holy Spirit. So a woman cannot, it's not a prerogative of a woman to change a man.
You can't.
So if the man is saying, I don't earn so much, I know my tomorrow will be better, no doubt. So okay, moving forward, what have you done so far? What is your savings like? Let me know, so that, okay, because me too, I'm into business, I'm doing some small savings. So let's know if together we can push this forward.
Before they get married,
Yes, before you get married, you have to talk about finances.
you call her a gold digger.
Oh yeah, and he is kneeling down. No, the one who is kneeling down will be very, very open. It only depends. Truly speaking, I think that I have told young ladies, look, at a certain, if you're in a relationship, why get into a relationship and the guy is dating you for 6 years? What kind of relationship is that? Why are you in a relationship for 7 years? You are wearing an engagement ring for 9 years. What kind of thing is that? They can't go feel even caught safe. The point is, you have to talk about all of these things. In pre-marriage courses, we say, let's be open. Communication is the life wire. Let's open up everything. This is what I get. This is what I earn. She's not going to collect the money from you. There are many times when we've seen women who earn more than their husbands or husbands to be, and they open up to say, this is it, this is it. And the man also opens up so that together they can build a home. Where a man is saying, you are a bigger, you want to, he's not even ready.
Okay, so Emmanuel Akindele on our live feed is saying, good evening, ma and sirs. Please, if a man is to bring little and the wife is also she brings her own little, will marriage not hold? Marriage must be a bring everything. Once man can pay the dowry, I think is what he wants to say.
One man cannot
is
pay.
Okay than the two of us bringing them home. Well, I think what I'm trying, the sense I'm trying to make out of this is Emmanuel Akindele is asking, why not
a woman
for a man and a woman to join hands, even for the marriage ceremony and the rest of it?
Come in. Let my wife answer.
All right, Pastor Adi.
Our African tradition, most of them don't like to compromise in this area. They have a standing tradition that when it comes to paying of dowry, it is meant for the man. I see it as a way of knowing if actually that man is a man and ready to marry. And in most cases, where you see women compromise with their
Husband
with their fiance, to contribute, at the end of it, the man becomes something else because he feels, I didn't pay her dowry. I mean, I wasn't responsible for anything she contributed. So he's careless about it. So I would want to advise the young ones, when it comes to dowry, let the man pay. But when it comes to the church wedding,
the celebration, you
can both contribute to buy wedding gown or whatever, the cooking of the rice to entertain people. But when it comes to paying of that aspect is meant for the man. The man wants to get married, he feels he's a man now, he wants to get married, then let him bear that responsibility solely.
Thank you.
Solely. Bear the responsibility solely. As a matter of fact, it's actually bride price. The dowry is a different thing altogether. In Nigeria, it's actually bride price. But that's splitting hairs. Let's go to the question that we have here, text message. This person says, good evening to presenter and good evening to you all guests in the house. I cannot stop praying for you all for this wonderful marriage counseling program. Despite I enjoy it alone, praying God Almighty will help me to make use of what I've learned to add more peace in my home. And then congratulations and happy anniversary to Reverend and Miss Adejo. Thank you so much. Now we have a question here saying, Mr. Ogbaki, you are always speaking my mind. Maybe I should change my name to Mr. Ogbaki. God bless you, sir. Okay, we have another person says who's saying, good evening, or please. Okay, open the app. It's on Facebook. It's on Facebook that we're streaming live. This person says, hello Jacqueline, even in Igbo land where I come from, when the parents of a girl accept a young man and he is incapable of meeting all the requirements, they ask him to provide some of the things on the list and suspend the others till a later date. After this, they bless the couple and sanction, not sanction, but I think sanctify the marriage would be. Marriage lists are not cast in iron. I know quite a few people who could not provide all on the list, but today are doing great. Thank you so much, Noel, for your thoughts on this matter. And this person is asking that, is court marriage against Christianity?
No. So that we don't waste time there.
Okay, so moving on. This one says, good evening. Is it good for a woman to take all responsibility in the house?
No.
No.
Okay. This person says that I want to ask, sir, we are all feeling the heat of the hardship in Nigeria where young people are looking for jobs. So don't you think that culture should be reviewed to accommodate the current happenings in the country where there are no good jobs, instead of putting all this huge financial cost stroke list placed on these young men to get married. I think this is the reason why a huge number of ladies are looking for husbands, and the rate of premarital sex abortions is on the high. Okay, another point of view there. And this person says, has Christianity a laid down procedure for marriage in the Bible?
Yes.
Okay, I think we would have to get biblical backing for that. And then there is nothing wrong for a man to tell his fiancée to talk to her family to cut down the expenses if there is understanding between them. Not that the guy will marry with all his resources. After marriage, they become poor. And then the last one I would like to take, is it good for a man calling his people or wife's people whenever there's misunderstanding in the home? All right. So we've run out of time, but I would like to hear your answers to these text messages, because some of them from last week, some from today. Mr. Ogbaki, let me start with you.
Okay, so the last one, I mean, I'll always say that marriage should be between the man and wife. Try as much as you can to keep it always between yourself. Always between yourself. Sometimes when parents are involved, it gives a bit of, sometimes you get parents,
you know, the father or the mother or the parents of the girl or the man may not be happy about all of this. So worst case scenario, maybe a counselor outside the family, somebody who doesn't really know you that much. So but best to for me, I will say that couples should keep it always between themselves. They should pray a lot, because these are days of evil, and the devil is going around wrecking homes. So if you want to keep telling your parents, you call them every day. So keep it between yourself. And there's so many questions, I can't remember a bit of that.
Now, somebody who was asking, the job situation in the country.
Yeah, okay. In that case, truly speaking, I think for a very serious-minded young man, that's the point I was trying to make earlier. A serious-minded young man who works, maybe a teacher in the state, and he earns 35, 40 or 50,000, and then he says, okay, out of this, I'm able to save 15,000 or 20,000 naira every month. That's good, truly speaking. But a young man who says the country is hard, everything is expensive, I don't have anything to save, shows you that you're not, because no matter how much you earn, you should, look, if you earn 5,000 naira, you should be able to save 200 naira or 100 naira. It shows some mark of seriousness, that if you get 1 million, then you'll be able to save something. The one who can't save anything from 1,000 naira may not be able to save anything from 1 million or 2 million or even 1 billion naira. Yeah.
Okay. Reverend.
Yeah, I want to talk about the man who asked whether Christianity is against court wedding. I know where he's going. Christianity is not against it. In fact, it is important for every home to have court registration. Very, very important. But marriage is God's own idea. So you cannot just carry yourself and go to court and say that is all. No, you must come to church for blessing. That's where I want to make clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor Adija, you want to say something?
No, it's okay.
All right, a woman, a few words. Pastor Dodo.
Just to summarize, I tend to stand with this verse of the Bible that says we should not despise the days of humble beginnings. The fact that the Bible says so doesn't mean that the men should be lazy. I have a problem, because now you discover that in most homes, men are not the ones working. It's the woman that works. And they stay at home. They don't do school runs. They don't do anything. So even if he had paid the bride price, and I also discovered, just like what Daddy Adejo said, most of the times these young men are being helped to pay the dowry. In fact, the parents will even look for a house and put the bride and the groom and pay for the rent. I mean, when it's up next year, what will happen? So I'm begging young men, please, there are so many things that they can do now. You know, the internet is there. There are ways you can earn.
No, they have cancelled where we normally get more money to pay rent and all those things. They have banned it.
Which one is that?
The cryptocurrency. Do you do that, Reverend? Anyway, but that isn't the only way. I think the bottom line out of all of this is that some things should be discussed, And in fact, not some things. When you're about to marry, everything
Honestly, you should have
should be
something
discussed.
done.
I hope that single people, like I said, I hope you're very close by and that you're listening, because the hope is that you will be taking away a lot from these sessions throughout this week. I cannot take calls. Maybe next week we'll make it all about calls. By the grace of God, we'll just open up the phone lines, and then you can have a free-for-all session where you're asking questions that come left, right, and center. But we actually have a progression of what we want to do, talking about finances and then moving on to other things. But we'll see how it goes. Next week, we'll have a free session, maybe for 30 minutes before we talk about something else for 30 minutes. And so I hope you can forgive us for not taking your calls this Sunday. For those who are married and who are listening, it's never too late to start again. The Reverend loves to say, fan your love to flame. He's testament to that, as is Pastor Dodo and Mr. Ogbaki and I, who are just, compared to them, just starting. But I think they are examples that we want to take something away from. Let's fan that love to flame. It's possible. If people are having great marriages, why not you?
Yeah.
Remain victorious.